Hey guys, Hector here. Try to find a good way to position this camera. Changing up today's episode a little bit. I'm actually inside my place on my mats. Going to be talking today's BJJ strength secrets. Something that based to kind of recap what we talked about last week. Tuesday was officially our first episode of BJJ Strength Secrets, and we talked about the 5 fundamental exercises that will help improve your strength, conditioning, coordination for BJJ. We talked about fast and loose drills. So just to recap, the 5 exercises that we talked about last week was the get up was number 1, learning how to master the deadlift, the barbell deadlift, the kettlebell swing, and then a press. So a press can be either a strict military press, it could be bench press, it could be the one-arm push-up, but incorporating some kind of press into your training regimen is going to go a long way to helping you on the mat. And then a pull. So a strict pull-up is a great one. The deadlift is also a pull, but we want to kind of incorporate some body weight work, so we're going to be focusing on the actual strict pull-up. And that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what we covered last Tuesday. So I often get this question, and I often see this a lot on the internet and Facebook, is, if we had to choose one exercise, if we only had one exercise to choose from, we're deserted on a desert island or something like that, what would be the go-to, what would be the main exercise, for jiu-jitsu that I would choose, or just for the one exercise in general, regardless of jiu-jitsu, but what would be the one exercise I would go to help maintain flexibility, strength, coordination, agility, etc. That would be pretty much hands down the get-up, the Turkish get-up. Why? Well, at the end of the day, as we get older, our greatest concern will be health, right? Not how big of a deadlift we have, not how big of a military press or bench press that we have. Those things are great, and it's really important to maintain strength for those skills. But as you get, into your 60s and your 70s, and you're still training jiu-jitsu, and you still want to be strong, but at the end of the day, quality of movement and being healthy and moving well, that is going to have a much higher priority, and that will be our greatest concern as we age, is moving better. So if I had to choose one exercise to maintain my longevity, and I want to be able to train jiu-jitsu until the day that I die, the one exercise I would stick with would be the get-up, because inside the get-up, there's so many hidden benefits. There's a saying, I'm not sure who said this, but there's a quote that says, "The get-up is an inch wide but a mile deep." Okay, it's an inch wide and a mile deep, meaning it is so simple. There's only seven movements, but it's so simple, but the benefits are endless. From improving your posture, to opening your hips, to strengthening your shoulders. You can even put on muscle if you program the get up appropriately. You can even put on lean muscle if you're trying to program that with a get up. So that's going to be our main focus today, is we're going to be kind of talking about the get-up as a whole, and then in future episodes we're going to start breaking down individual pieces, because I could literally do an episode every single week just on the get-up for the next year or 2 years, because of how deep it goes and all the different benefits that come from it. So, Turkish get-up. Where does the get-up come from? Why is it so important? My history isn't the best, but the get-up essentially is several hundred years old. The Greeks called the get-up kalostenos, which is now translated to calisthenics. So we know calisthenics. So one of the first calisthenics ever done was the get-up. A lifting guru, anytime one of his apprentices came to him and wanted to learn how to lift heavy weights, the guru told his apprentice that, take this 100-pound weight. When you can effectively start in a lying position, and work your way up to a standing position with this overhead. Come back to me and I'll teach you how to lift. And that's kind of how they did things many, many moons ago. So the get up, essentially, there's 7 movements in the get up. Okay, inside the get up, you have, which is why I think the get up, I know the get up has, if we had to pick one exercise, the one that carries over the most for BJJ is the get up, because it's a primitive pattern. You're on your back, you're on the ground. Okay, you're training a roll pattern, so you're actually rolling over from your back to your belly, and from your side back to your back as you're coming down. So you've got a roll hidden inside the get up, you've got a hinge, you've got a lunge, you've got a squat, you've got reaching, you've got primitive patterns where you're on your hands, your knees, and your toes. So there's many hidden aspects that are happening in the get up that we can kind of overlook as we're just kind of going through the get up. T-spine mobility, so be able to increase your ability to extend and rotate from your chest, your upper thoracic area. That's crucial for shoulder health. Stability of the shoulder girdle, that's really, really important. Grip strength. I mean, again, guys, we could just keep going on and on and on and on. But it has a huge carryover to jiu-jitsu, because in jiu-jitsu, you're going through all those same movement patterns. You're rolling, you're hinging, you're lunging, you're squatting, you're reaching, you're pulling, you're pushing. You're going through all these different movements while you're training jiu-jitsu. So the get up is probably as close to sport-specific training as you can get. I am not an advocate of sport-specific training. Many may argue with my point, but I don't believe in sport-specific training. I believe in order to get good at your sport, you need to train the sport. If I was training a golfer, I would not make him swing. I would not make him work on his golf swing with the weighted golf club. That's actually going to change the pattern of his golf swing. And you can use that for any other sport. But yet, we seem to do that with our strength training. We seem to try to replicate sport movements with our strength training when we shouldn't. I've seen people, trying to integrate strength training, whether it's barbell or kettlebell. I've seen them trying to integrate that and make it look like a jiu-jitsu movement, which is absolutely backwards. That is going to change your technique on that skill. If you're trying to learn how to shrimp and to move your hips and to create space, shrimping with a kettlebell in your hand or shrimping, with bands attached to you, it's not going to make you any stronger. It's not going to make you move any better. What that's going to do is that's actually going to change your technique, and it can alter that movement pattern of you getting good at moving on the ground and hip escaping. So if you want to get better at that, do more of that, okay? That's when that's going to be as sport specific as you can get. But the get up is as sport specific as you can get, and you're using a weight, you're using the kettlebell, but you're going through the same patterns that you would be going through as you're rolling, okay? So you're going through the roll, you're doing a lunge, you're squatting, but you're really focusing on improving your movement, the integrity of your movement, control, motor control. You're going through so many different things. Single leg stance, on and on and on and on. So I'm going to be breaking down, as we continue to evolve this series of our episodes on the get up, is we're going to be breaking down piece by piece of the get up. So I'm going to do my best to demonstrate one of the first essential movements of the get up that a lot of people kind of mess up and that they don't quite understand. So I'm going to move my camera back here a little bit so you can get a better view. I'm going to tilt it down. And one of the big mistakes that I see people make on the get up is when they're on their back, okay, and they roll and they put the kettlebell into position, okay. One of the big mistakes that I see here is, as people start to practice the get up, they try to do this like crunch. They try to sit up and do like a crunch through their midsection, and that's incorrect. You're not going to get any leverage on the weight. And as you start to use a heavier kettlebell and you start working your way up to 32 kilos, 40, the beast, you start working up higher because you're getting stronger, it's going to be very hard to do a crunch up like this with the, it's going to be hard to do that crunch with like a 106-pound kettlebell over your head. So what's the secret? So when I'm in this position, you notice that I have my 1 foot up, okay? So the same knee, the same hand that has the bell is the same foot that's going to be up. And I'm going to use this foot, and I'm actually going to turn, and I'm actually going to roll myself to my side. This is the first breakdown that we teach our students, is this roll like this. I'm rolling to my side, okay? So the first movement of the get up is not a crunch, it's not a sit up, it's a roll. Okay, as if you were rolling, like you're sweeping and you're rolling somebody over, like you're going for a sweep. Same exact thing here. So I'm actually rolling to my side, and then I'm going to drive my elbow through the floor, and I'm going to sit up. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of going in this angle this way. I'm not trying to go that way. I'm going more this way. So I drive through my foot, I roll to my side, and then I pull myself up like this, okay? And then as I come down, I roll back out. So as I roll up, I don't try to crunch and sit back down. I just reverse the movement. I push back to my side where I rolled, and then I roll back to my back, okay? So that's the first movement there. So if you, again, remember how we talked about sport-specific? We were talking about like sport-specific training, how I really don't believe in sport-specific training. But the movement patterns that we're training with the get up are the same as jiu-jitsu. So let's say, like, how would this roll to the elbow, even translate into, even into BJJ? How is that even possible? You can actually, I'm going to show you right now, how this movement will help build a stronger choke by mastering this movement. This will build a stronger choke. Because we know at the end of the day, jiu-jitsu is position always before submission, right? You always have to get better at your position before you can attack a submission, right? So if I get really strong in my posture and I get really strong in this position, I'm going to be in a lot better position to start to apply a choke. So in the get-up position like this, I'm working this roll pattern, okay, and I'm rolling up. Well, if I was in the closed guard, and I rolled up like this, it's going to allow me to get my hand all the way through the collar. It's going to allow me to get my hand through the collar so I can now start working a cross choke. Okay? Many times, I'm sure you've been there where you try to roll up to go for the collar and the guy kind of pushes you back down. You try to roll up like this and the guy kind of pushes you back down. Well, you got to get really strong at this roll-up position. So the more you drive and you roll up like this, okay, and you're working it through the get-up, you're not altering any movement patterns, you're actually strengthening the movement patterns that you have. So go through this sequence, body weight first, get the movement down, understand how to roll to your side, understand how to pull with the elbow. Once you roll up, then you can start to apply weight. Start with it for gentlemen, I'd recommend starting with a 16K and then work your way up to a 24. And as you start to make this move very smooth, then you can go into higher weights. Ladies, I would recommend, a 10 to a 12 kilo bell as you start to add weight to this. So you're going to roll to your side by driving through your foot, roll and pull up. When I get really good and strong at this position, let's say if I can do this with the beast, okay, it's going to be very hard to break my posture because I've gotten really strong here through the midsection. Now I can start to feed my hand through and work through a stronger choke. So if you look at this pattern, if you can't see my hand, and let's say I have a training partner here, you couldn't tell if I was doing the get up or if I was working my hand into the collar to try to set up a choke. It's the exact same pattern. So I hope this is making sense. So that's all I want to cover today. I don't want to move too far forward too soon. I would recommend you practice this every day, 3 to 5 3 to 5 reps or so per side, and start to practice this every day. Start with the body weight first. You can put like a shoe, or you can put like a sandal, or even like a half-drink water bottle or something on your fist. What that's going to do is that's going to make sure that, for one, you got to balance it on your hand to make sure your wrist isn't moving. You stay aligned, and you just go through this roll. Okay. The goal is to not drop the water bottle or the shoe. Let's see, we got a question coming through here. How is your fist when you're sitting up? Is it parallel or perpendicular to your body? Your fist, Justin, your fist is going to be lined up over your shoulder. When you sit up, your fist is going to be lined up over your shoulder. So let me see if I can get a better view here. When you sit up, this fist always stays aligned over your shoulder. So even when I roll up like this, my fist is aligned over. If you took a rod and it went straight down my fist through my arm, it would come out and it would connect to my elbow. So I should make a straight line from here all the way to here, okay? Which is why if you did the crunch and you sat up like this, look at your posture now. Now the rod's going straight down my fist and into the floor. I want to stack all my joints, and I'm going to be like this to the side. So if I can turn sideways, you can see there's a straight line from my fist down to this other elbow here, okay? And this shoulder, I'm not getting lazy with this shoulder. I'm not hanging out on the beach here, okay? I'm not sinking into my shoulder like this. I'm actively pushing the ground away, and I'm holding here, okay? And then I roll back to my back, and the fist always stays aligned with the shoulder. Cool, yeah, for sure. Good question. So practice that first roll, okay? That's very important. Make sure you drive through the foot, roll to your side. Don't crunch or sit up. Use a water bottle or a towel or a shoe, something that you can balance on your hand to make sure that you have balance. So here, I'll show you. So that way we can make sure that you're maintaining the integrity. So if I were to use like my book here, and I didn't maintain alignment, and I just kind of crunch and sit up, it's gonna fall, okay? So I wanna maintain that alignment. So as I go through that initial roll, here, the alignment stays, because I can maintain the book on my fist. But if any way I come out of alignment and I come up like this, and I don't maintain alignment, it's gonna fall. And you can only imagine if I have a kettlebell, I'm gonna lose a position, and that's how you can really injure yourself. So I'd recommend using like a book or a water bottle or your sandal, and that's gonna give you that feedback right away. Plus, it's gonna make you slow the get up down. The get up is not about to see how fast you can do the get up. The get up, you wanna take your time and really feel each movement as you go through all 7 postures, which we'll get into the other 7 at a later date and the details behind them. So the cool thing about the get up is there's nowhere to hide. Once you start using a weight like a kettlebell, there's nowhere to hide. If you've got a shoulder limitation, or you have a hip mobility problem, or if you have a strength problem, or if you have a stability problem, if you have any compensations, the get up's gonna find it, because it's gonna lock you up across 7 different movement patterns, and basically let you know where your limitations are. So what I love about the get up is you can use it solely as a strength conditioning exercise, okay, which is gonna have a tremendous carryover to BJJ, but also you can use it as like a diagnostic exercise for the day, like as part of your morning recharge. I do these things that are called morning recharges. So let's say you're gonna lift. Let's say you're gonna work on some swings, or you're gonna work on some pressing, or you're gonna do some weightlifting, because you don't have jiu-jitsu scheduled. You're gonna work on some weightlifting. Do a couple of get-ups on each side. Left and right sides, to see how well that you're moving. Because each day we move differently, right? If you had a really tough, jiu-jitsu training the night before, and you did just tons of rounds and tons of drills, you're gonna be kind of sore, and you may not be moving optimally, right? Movement patterns can change from day to day. So use the get up as like an assessment tool to see how well you're moving. If maybe you notice like, oh man, my shoulder's kind of stiff, or my upper back's kind of stiff or whatever it may be. If you feel like your hips are stiff as you go through the get up, don't do any squatting that day then, right? Just focus on the get up. Maybe you feel like your shoulders are really tight and your shoulders are stiff as you're going through the get up. Then stay off of pressing for that day. Come back the next day when you're fresh and you've recovered. So that's the great thing about the get up, is it can be a standalone strength and conditioning and flexibility, mobility, stability. It hits everything. But the hidden thing that I noticed that a lot of people really don't take advantage of on the get up is using it as an assessment tool. Use it a couple of reps, like I said, a couple of reps on each side to get an idea of how well you're moving. How does your shoulders feel? How do your hips feel? Are your abs turning on? Because sometimes our abs don't light up the way they're supposed to because we're fatigued. Is your stability on point? When you're going through single leg and you're going through lunging, is your stability on point? That could cause movements like compensations as you're going through pressing or swings or whatever it may be. So before I continue to go on and on, we'll talk about more details in future episodes. But takeaway today is, if you only had one exercise you had to choose and you're stuck on a desert island, all you have is your gi and you only have one kettlebell and you're only allowed to do one exercise, it would be the get up. Because the get up can give you everything you need: strength, conditioning, mobility, flexibility, endurance, and even put on some lean muscle if you want to. It all depends on how you program it. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys today, all right? Tomorrow is Wednesday. We're going to be going over deadlift secrets. We're going to be breaking down some aspects of the deadlift. And then Thursday, we got kettlebell expert secrets. We go more into depth on specific types of kettlebell training. And then Friday is going to be my first interview. I'm going to be interviewing a good friend of mine who's all about health, and his expertise is sleep. He runs a very successful business here in Corpus and all South Texas, where they help people improve their sleep. So sleep is a huge component of our health and our performance, right? And that's when we recover. And if we're not getting quality of sleep, we're not going to be recovering as well, which means BJJ training is not going to be optimal, and neither is strength training. Okay, so sleep is crucial. That's another aspect that we overlook, that I overlooked for many years. So be on the lookout. We're going to be going live on Friday at 11 a.m. from 11 to 11:30. So I'm going to send out another alert today and tomorrow. So hopefully you guys can tune in. That's all I got for you guys today. BJJ Strength. I had a phone call come in, and I will see you guys tomorrow for Deadlift Secrets. Have a good day, guys. Bye.